morning,
Hello.
everyone. Welcome to another awesome week of virtual Sunday school. I do have some rather sad news for us. This week is Maddie's last week with us. She will be going off to grad school to study the Bible and learn all the things. And it'll be awesome for her, but also we're going to miss her so much.
Mm-hmm. I'll miss you guys a lot.
Yeah. So, moment of silence for that. But today's lesson will be a lot of fun. It's another lesson on Elijah, and this time Elijah has a friend that we're going to learn about.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so very exciting stuff. We're going to get into it. Maddie's going to do a fun craft with you like usual, the last craft. And then I'll be back at the end, okay? Y'all have fun.
Hey guys, it's so good to see you all, and it's so good to have been here this whole summer with you. I love you all so much, but before we get into our lesson today, can anyone tell me what we talked about last week? It was a really cool story. Yeah, it was about fire, the fire competition with Elijah and the prophets. And what we learned from that story of Elijah and the prophets and the fire competition is that God shows up in hopeless situations. It was kind of a difficult situation for God to show up with the fire and burn up the altar that had been soaked with the water. But we learned that God shows up in those situations, and because God shows up in those situations, our relationship can then grow with God, and that can show other people God, and their relationships with God can grow too. So that was last week's story, but this week is episode 3 in the whole Elijah saga of all the cool stories about Elijah, who was just really awesome. We love him. But this week, we are not gonna do any fire competitions, which maybe some of you are sad, maybe some of you are excited. I don't know. But this week, after the fire competition, we're talking about how King Ahab's wife, remember we talked about King Ahab? He was that really, really mean king of Israel, super bad. Yeah, it's him, his wife. His wife is named Jezebel. Can you all say Jezebel? It's a pretty distinctive name. But Jezebel was super angry that Elijah had proven basically that her god, Baal, the fake god, wasn't real. She was so mad because she was a worshiper of Baal. But Elijah proved with the fire competition that Baal was fake and that God was the one true God. And so Jezebel was out for revenge. She was mad. And if you don't know what revenge means, it means that someone wants to get even. Someone wants to pay you back and do a terrible thing to you. And revenge is not a nice thing, but Jezebel wanted it, and so she was out looking for Elijah. And so that is where our story from our Bible storybook picks up today. I have our book, it's so lovely, and I'll show you the pictures. Here is the whole spread of both pages, and then here's an up close. This is Elijah, and he's away in the countryside. Looks like he's on a mountain or something. So let's find out what our story's about for today. It's titled Elijah and Elisha. So they sound really similar, but let's find out who these people are. It's from 1 Kings chapter 19. Jezebel was angry with Elijah for proving to the people that God was the true God. Elijah was scared she would hurt him, so he ran away. God took care of Elijah, and he found a cave. God came to Elijah and asked him why he had run away. "I love you, God, and I want all people to love you. But I am the only prophet left, and I am afraid." God told Elijah to stand as God passed by him. A strong wind blew, but God wasn't in the wind. An earthquake shook, but God wasn't in the earthquake. A fire burned, but God wasn't in the fire. Then there was a thin, quiet stillness. This was God. You must anoint 2 kings and find Elisha. There's Elisha. He will be the next prophet, God told Elijah. Elijah left the cave and found Elisha. Elisha became the next prophet of God. So in our story today, we meet another exciting character named Elisha. So it sounds really similar to Elijah, but it's not. It's a whole different character. And Elisha was a young guy. He had to leave his family and go be a prophet. So this is what Elijah's doing. Elisha is taking the place, essentially, of Elijah and going out into the world to prophesy and teach about God. And a little sneak peek of what's to come in later weeks that Miss Ellen will talk about. Elisha performed miracles, and miracles are so amazing. So make sure you come back in the future for these miracle stories. They're going to be super cool. So does anyone have any idea what we could learn from today's story? Do you have any insights at all? Well, I think that something we can learn is that sometimes life gets really busy and sometimes life gets really noisy and we get really distracted. So we need to take time away during those busy times to find God and to be in conversation with God and to pray to God. So if you find that you are getting really busy, especially with school starting, I know I'm about to get really busy with school starting and doing a different job, but if school is starting and you start to get really busy and you see that you're kind of not making a lot of time for a relationship with God, then you can take some time alone. Go to a quiet place, maybe your room, or maybe your closet is a good option, or outside in your backyard if your parents or grandparents or caretaker will let you. You can go find a quiet place and think about some of these Bible stories, and then you can say a prayer to God, and you'll feel more at peace, I'll bet. Just you'll feel the presence of God there with you, and it'll be a really nice moment of feeling refreshed and ready to deal with that busyness. So Elijah was busy in this story. He was afraid and he felt that he had to run away from Jezebel, who was looking for revenge, but he went away to a cave and he had some quiet time. But then there was a lot of noise around. There was the fire and the wind and the earthquake, where Elijah maybe expected God to be in all that noise. But the cool thing is that God showed up in the quiet. And so we need to be able to find quiet for ourselves so that we can listen for God, so that we can hear God and listen to what God is trying to tell us. And so when you're in your quiet place, just take a moment to sit and to think, maybe take a couple deep breaths and pray to God, and remember that God cared for Elijah and Elisha, and God cares for you. God cares for you so much. So our craft today kind of mimics this quiet that God shows up in. It's called, we're going to make wind socks, and they're quiet wind socks. And don't worry, there's not any actual socks. You don't have to go digging in your sock drawer to find some for this craft. But we're going to make some quiet wind socks, and you're going to need a hole punch, some scissors, a roll of tape, and then some tissue paper. Mine is white, but you can use any color. And then a piece of construction paper. I've chosen blue because I like blue, but you can use any color you want. And then some yarn or string or maybe ribbon, something like that. So go ahead and gather your supplies. Alright, so the first step in making our quiet wind socks is to take our piece of construction paper, and we're going to use the whole thing this week. That's super awesome. But you're going to roll it up into a tube shape. So mine looks like this, and make sure the ends are even, and then take some of your tape, a piece of tape, and then tape your tube into a roll so that it stays in this cylindrical shape. So you might need 2 or 3 pieces of tape. And before you do this, if you want to decorate your tube of paper, that would be super cool. I'm not going to decorate mine, but if you want to take some crayons or something, markers, and draw on your tube and make it fancy, that would be super creative. So this is what the seam of my tube looks like, and then this is what the rest of it looks like. Okay, now what we need to do is attach our string, because that's how we're gonna wave it around in the air. So take your hole punch and then punch some holes on one end of your paper tube that you just rolled up, and then make 2 holes opposite of each other. So make one on one side and then turn it around and then put another hole on that other side. And then what you're going to do is take some of your string, you just need 1 piece, and then make it, I don't know, about this long or so. It doesn't really matter however long you want, but cut your string, and then take that string piece that you just cut and thread one end through the holes, and then put the other end of the string through the other hole and pull it up, and then tie a knot in your string so that it makes kind of a loop or a handle on your tube like this. So it should be able to hang and float. Alright guys, we're almost there. Now take your tissue paper. Remember, yours might be a different color. Mine is white, but take this tissue paper, and you're going to want to take your scissors as well, and then cut strips from your tissue paper. Just however thick you want them to be. Cut some strips, and then you'll probably need to, I have to cut mine in half so that they're about this long, but go ahead and cut maybe 8 or 10 strips like this, and then we'll meet you back. I'll meet you back here with all of our tissue paper strips that blow in the wind. Okay, so I have all these strips and they're blowing in the wind, especially outside. Would recommend doing this inside. But you lay your strips down and then take one of them and take your tube that you made earlier, and on the end, ooh, my tissue paper is blowing away. Ah! So take your tube that you rolled up earlier, and on the end opposite your string, so on this end, you're going to place your tissue paper strip onto the end of your tube like this, and then tape it with a piece of tape so that it looks like this, and it's just an extension of your tube. And then go ahead and take another strip and place that right next to your other strip that you just taped on, and grab another piece of tape like this, and then tape it down, and just do that all the way around the edge of your tube. And as you're taping your paper strips onto your tube, think about how the wind came in the story that we read. The wind came and the earthquake came, but God showed up in the stillness. So that's what you can think about as you're taping your strips on your tube. Okay guys, I'm not gonna lie, this might be my favorite craft that we've made this whole summer. So look at it. If it's a windy day, it works really well. But you can also wave it around and it will act like the wind. but it's also quiet, so it doesn't make much noise. And it reminds us of the quiet where God showed up for Elijah. So, yay! What a cool craft! Thank you for crafting with me today. So, as you're watching your windsock blow in the wind, let's say our prayer together. Dear God, sometimes you are big and powerful. Sometimes you are small and quiet. Help me see you in all things. Amen.
Wow. Guys, this is pretty cool. Did you have fun making your windsock? We gotta save this thing. Fun. So I told y'all that this is Maddie's last Sunday, so I think it would only be appropriate for us to take a few seconds and yell at the top of your lungs, thank you Maddie, or I love you Maddie, or something like that. So we'll give you a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you Maddie. Yay.
Oh, I feel so loved. Thank you.
We heard all of those cheers and chants
That's very
just
loud.
now. Yeah. So, and thank you guys for joining with us all summer and everything. We're gonna keep virtual Sunday school going, obviously. Next week I'll just be back. But yeah, until next week, enjoy our virtual church this afternoon, and I hope you guys have a great week. And I'll see you back next Sunday. Okay?
Bye.